Stone has instead chosen to plead the fifth. But there is another Trump loyalist talking, and according to Politico, he's handing over, quote, significant information. With me, NBC's Julie Sirkin on Capitol Hill and MSNBC legal analyst Barbara McQuade. Julie, let me start with you on this one and tell us what we've learned about Cuccinelli's meetings with the committee. And is the committee any closer to getting other allies of the former president to speak?
Yasmin, well, there's a clear distinction here between Ken Cuccinelli and others that the committee subpoenaed, and that's because Ken Cuccinelli was not subpoenaed. He testified before the committee voluntarily. And remember the strategy, the two-track plan that members of the committee laid out to us a couple months ago. They said that they were going to issue invitations to those they think would play ball with the investigation and save those subpoenas for others who wouldn't entertain the committee's investigation or take it seriously. So Cuccinelli appeared for 4.5 hours this week, we learned overnight, and he basically answered questions about what the Department of Homeland Security did in preparation for the rally on January 6th, for the potential insurrection, of course, that we know did happen. And Cuccinelli also answered questions on communication he had with former President Trump, with ex-White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows. And remember, Cuccinelli came to the Hill after January 6th to survey the damage, to look at what was broken, to look at what happened here in the pieces that were left in the Capitol after rioters stormed it. Now, this other individuals that were subpoenaed, the Trump allies like John Eastman, Jeffrey Clark, we know they're cooperating with the committee, but both of them have said that they're intending to plead the Fifth Amendment. And we know other allies like Mark Meadows, who was not cooperating with the committee anymore. He was referred to the Department of Justice for criminal contempt. But before he did that, he gave the committee a present by turning over thousands of pages of documents and key information that led them down the list of other names that they could subpoena, like Phil Waldron, the ex-military colonel who was subpoenaed by the committee just this past week before they left town. He, of course, was reportedly the one who sent that 38-page PowerPoint to Mark Meadows outlining all the ways that the vice president could overturn the election on January 6th, all the options for the president, for example, to declare a national emergency, and so on. So the committee is hoping that these folks who do not have executive privilege claims will be coerced to talk after they come back in January.
Barbara, expand on that for me. You got Mark Meadows, as Julie just pointed out, stonewalling. John Eastman, Jeffrey Clark pleading the Fifth. Roger Stone pleading the Fifth. What tools do they have right now? Does the investigatory committee have in getting the information that they need?
Well, it depends on the privilege a little bit. So for executive privilege, we've seen them go down this route of either filing criminal contempt charges, which could result in imprisonment and punishment, or they could also use civil contempt, which is really more of a tool for coercion to jail someone until they agree to testify. And that could be a good tool for using against someone like Mark Meadows, whose testimony I think they very much want to have. Now, for those who are invoking the Fifth Amendment, that's a little harder. Roger Stone kind of wants to have it both ways. He says, I haven't really committed any crimes, but I think overzealous prosecutors might charge me with something, so I'm invoking my Fifth Amendment right. That's not how it's supposed to work. It's supposed to be you have a well-grounded fear of criminal prosecution. But nonetheless, most of the time, when someone invokes their Fifth Amendment rights, and if they have some potential criminal exposure, judges will typically honor that, and that's, right, all of us have. So then the option is to consider whether to grant immunity to those witnesses who have invoked the Fifth Amendment. It just means you can't use those statements against them in a criminal case. But as we saw in that Oliver North case many years ago, once someone in a high-profile case talks about it, it's very difficult to prove that other witnesses who testified at their trial did so completely independently and completely free of anything they might have heard in the media or in the public that originated with that person themselves. And so it can be difficult to prosecute someone after they've been given immunity. So it might require a decision about whether you want to grant them immunity and their information is worth enough. But maybe it is. Maybe you see someone like a Roger Stone as a pawn in all of this. But sometimes you have to sacrifice your pawns if you want to capture the king.
So at this point, considering where we are with Mark Meadows in this process, would they even be having those subsequent conversations where they could feasibly grant him immunity if, in fact, he is found to be culpable in the January 6th insurrection?
Yeah, that would be at a different stage. And so far, he has not invoked his Fifth Amendment rights. He has only invoked executive privilege. Now, he may at some point also invoke Fifth Amendment. That would be a different privilege. But he is refusing to testify until he does. That's the one that's in the ball that's in the Justice Department's court right now, is to decide whether to bring criminal charges against him. And they could. It would be a slightly more challenging charge, I think, than the one they've already brought against Steve Bannon, just because as Chief of Staff, Mark Meadows likely has a stronger claim of executive privilege. But the thing that he has failed to do is to show up in response to that subpoena and answer the questions on a question-by-question basis and tell them which questions over which he intends to assert the executive privilege so that they have a record and they can take that to a court. So his complete refusal to play ball, I think, is why they referred him for criminal prosecution. But it might be that a civil claim is more effective in actually coercing his testimony, which is, I think, what they really want in the end here.
All right, Julie Sorkin, thank you. Barbara McQuade, thank you as well. Still ahead, everybody, Jeffrey Epstein's confidant, Ghislaine Maxwell, will